This is Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. I regret to report that both our Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen. Our future is uncertain. But in time, a new hope will emerge.
Coffee with Kenobi presents Rebels Reactions with Dan Z and Corey Club.
All troopers, focus your fire on the Jedi.
Come with us. Learn what it truly means to be a Jedi.
I'm in space. And I'm about to die.
We need an opening. Found one.
What did he say?
He said hello, hyperspace. Oh, and guess what? This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is Joe Taylor with Coffee with Kenobi, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z and Corey Club. And this is the podcast you're looking for.
Welcome to Rebels Reactions, where Coffee with Kenobi examines Star Wars Rebels through a critical lens. On today's show, we will be discussing Breaking Ranks, the fourth episode in Season 1. Joining us today on Rebels Reactions is Joe Taylor of Coffee with Kenobi. Joe is one of our featured bloggers, a longtime friend, and a huge R2-D2 fan. Welcome, Joe.
Hello.
Hey, Joe. We were just talking before we started here, and it's you and I have been friends for a long time, and we were in Geeks Helping Geeks, and just been chatting for a long time. So it's really great to have you on to talk about this. And overall, guys, it seems like we're going to have a very spirited discussion because we have very different opinions. So we'll just start with you, Joe. What is your overall opinion of Breaking Ranks?
I thought it was a good episode. It wasn't my favorite of the four. It's probably my least favorite. I just don't think there was a lot of action. There was more of the suspense and drama of Ezra trying to get this decoder disc. But I still liked it. It wasn't a bad episode. It just wasn't my favorite.
Sure, that's fair. What about you, Corey?
Yeah, I kind of agree. It wasn't my favorite episode, but it also wasn't that low that it wasn't exciting for me. I did enjoy it for different reasons. As far as I did like to see Ezra on the forefront doing his thing on a totally different playing field. Yeah. And I did like to see the operation of the Empire on Lothal there, the training base, and kind of see the inner workings there, and got to see Agent Cowles again, one of my favorite characters. It was fun to see. And yeah, I think all around it was a good show. It wasn't my favorite. I think, like I said, it kind of lacked on action a little bit. But it definitely, it kind of gave it that younger feel, because the characters were all younger, and it kind of hit some points for some younger audience members maybe. So I'm sure my kids, they haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure they'll enjoy it more than I did. So.
Well, there's actually a young adult novel that recently came out that takes place right before this, and is basically all focused on Zer Leonis. And by the way, let's just say it.
Put it out there.
His name is Zer. It's spelled differently than my last name, but his first name is my last name, and that is purely serendipitous. But man, I was
sure that
pretty
Dave
excited
didn't call you up and say, "Hey, can we use your name? Just spell it differently." And
yeah, and I signed off on it, and
very
it's
good.
Cool.
It's
not
all
like it was pretty fun. That's right. So I told my wife, I'm like, "There's a character, her name's there," and she's like, "Uh huh."
Yeah. She's like, "Yeah, sure."
My overall opinion is this is my favorite episode of the entire series.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. I think that it completely captured the emotional weight of an excellent episode of the Clone Wars. You get to see the inner workings of, for this it's the Empire, for Clone Wars it was through the Republic, or just kind of going through specific elements of the Star Wars universe. It had the right amount of action, character development. There was real risk. We got to see a lot of the characters, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes too that I thought was tremendous. And this is the second episode. I've noticed that my two favorite episodes are Breaking Ranks and Droids in Distress. And you know what they both have in common is they're both written by Greg Weisman.
Cool.
Yeah. And he's a great writer. We know he's only going to be around for season 1. He's going to be doing the canon comic book series, The Last Padawan. So let's hope there's a lot more Greg Weisman in the future, especially in season 1. But
Right.
he brings up a lot of interesting concepts here. Let's talk about the ethics of the Empire, their training facilities. We see a lot about them in their recruitment process. Corey, let's start with you on that.
Yeah, this is something that I personally haven't really experienced in any of the novels or comics or anything like that. That I'm sure it's cropped up here and there. But it was definitely, a younger crowd. I think they're training obviously to be Jedis, stormtroopers. So a lot different than the previous episode we saw as he's training to be a Jedi. So it's a nice, detachment between what the Jedis believe and what the Empire is teaching young folks. So it's interesting on that aspect, I think. It had a very Ender's Game feel to me, as the cadets were lobbying to reach the top of the, exercise, training box. The box?
Which
I don't
we'll
know.
get to. Yeah, we'll get to that.
So it had that idea in the facility. Obviously, it has, the stormtroopers, walking around, and like you said, the ethics part of it. It's the Empire is there to conform and rule, so they're going to drive these points home. These only the best survive. Very type of rule of you don't make friends. You put yourself first. So it's these ethics of we're the best and we'll do what we want type ethics driven into these young minds. So I think that was kind of corrupting. I think, but it's obviously their way. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting things there.
Joe, what about you? What about the ethics and the overall things we learned about the Empire and their training facility through this episode? Did you notice?
Well, first of all, I noticed it reminded me a lot of the episode in Clone Wars, Death Trap. That's the one where the young Boba Fett sneaks onto one of the Republic ships as part of one of the cadets. Very similar kind of themes as far as a cadet sneaking on somewhere, hiding,
I agree.
trying to do something.
I caught that as well. I'm glad you knew the title of that particular episode because that's one of the better overall arcs anyway, with Obi-Wan turning to disguise himself. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Actually, I'm talking about season 2 with the young Boba Fett, but also I caught the thing about Obi-Wan too.
Yeah, you're right. We are talking about two different things. I don't know what's in my coffee.
I'm drinking tea, so that's probably why.
There you go.
But yeah, no, the Boba Fett one was season 2, episode 20. The Obi-Wan one, when you're talking about hiding in, as with the bounty, was actually season 4, episode 17. I had to look both those up because I didn't remember the names. But as far as training people young, it's kind of typical of a government trying to get young people to follow their ways, I guess, follow their steps. So, I mean, Padme's there's the young senators. I think even in America, we have in different areas there's young things where young people can be senators or city officials or training to do that at young ages. So it's pretty common, I think. It just gives them maybe not ingrained but has the Empire's theory set up to go at a young age to where they'll grow into stormtroopers once they get old enough to do it. But I also agree with Corey's reference to Ender's Game. That's very similar to that as well.
Yeah, I never made that connection. I think that's a really good point. As far as the ethics go, I think the ethics are that they don't have ethics. They're training these children, encouraging them to shoot at one another, although they're stunning each other, and they're just making things very, very dangerous. And of course, while this test continues to go on and on, the peril is raised, and you just have to wonder. The parents who are letting their children go, we start to see as the episode progresses that it's quite possible, even though it's never completely addressed, that the parents are not letting this happen, and maybe they're just sort of being taken. Although a lot of them seem pretty fired up about it. It kind of reminded me very much like a Lucas version of Oliver Twist, where you've got these people working for the man, working for the bad guys, so to speak. And it's really interesting and very problematic because you've got a whole different culture here. And they just play along. And I think we as an audience are watching this and we're thinking, well, the Empire's bad. They're the bad guys. Why would anyone want to fight for them? Why would anyone want to sign up? But they do, and it's because of that propaganda and the way they can take the truth, quote-unquote truth, and kind of bend it to however they see fit.
Right.
So it seems like we have another pretty Ezra-centered episode, and that's probably going to be how the majority of this goes, which is fine with me. He's rapidly becoming one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, period. But let's talk about his interactions with the other cadets, and I'll go ahead and start with this one. I thought that was really, really cool how he just is a natural leader, and he's got, of course, incredible force abilities. But the way he interacts with some of the other cadets in this, it very much seems like he's known them for a very long time, or if not, maybe he's just the kind of affable person that just draws people to him. And we certainly see that quite a bit. He responds really well to Zaire, as we already talked about before, and the kid that he ends up rescuing at the end, I can't think of his name off the bat. Jai, yes, it's Jai. Thank you. They have a very unique relationship, and there's also someone there. And Joe, I'm going to defer to you on this too. Who's the guy that he really is really a rival with? The
antagonist.
Yes.
His last name is Oleg.
Okay.
They don't give his first name.
See, if we recorded this after the Rebels Recon for this episode came out, then it would probably be a lot easier for me. I should just grab my copy of the visual guide, Adam Bray's visual guide. I'll have to do that next time. But yeah, tell me, guys, what you notice about his interactions with the other cadets?
Well, you were talking. They've been together for a few weeks. If you remember, Kanan mentions it when they're him and.
Yeah, when he and Hera are talking, they do say that, but it still feels like it's more than that.
It could be. I mean, but
maybe he knows them from growing up. Some of them.
Maybe he is on Lothal. So.
Yeah, I was going to say it is Lothal's training facility. So I wonder if it's just more of like, hey, come and visit and take a tour, and hey, do you want to be a cadet? Oh yeah, it's more of like it's folks he's grown up with. Well, like in the previous episode, he knew. I'm sorry, it was 2 episodes ago that he knew the farmer. So I'm sure there's a community aspect of it.
Probably, but even in like intense training, you guys still there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Intense training, you guys you do develop really close relationships with your peers.
True.
Who you're with. So those eight guys, even though we only are introduced to 4 of them, there are 8 in that squad. So you do develop close bonds with them, and some your squad mates you develop closer bonds with than you might some of the other ones.
Yeah, good point. And I think that's true. I certainly don't see any faults or foibles in any of this because I think it makes sense that, there's a lot of duress and stress, but they also kind of take it as fun. And I think that's where the ethics comes back into play that we talked about before. Just because the kids are having a good time doesn't mean they should particularly be in that situation.
Right.
And it's not like the Empire is under attack directly. So the fact that they're recruiting so young just shows you just how deep Palpatine's vision goes and just what, as we already knew, as we've seen countless times, there's nothing that is too beneath them for them to attack. Corey, anything else you want to say about the interactions with the other cadets?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that, like you said, that Ezra's very, a leadership role. He's very likable. He's very kind of suave. We get that also, I think, in the premiere episode when he met the Rebel team. He kind of came off as, very easy to get along with. But he kind of does his own route. He's putting the mission first too. I think he's first and foremost thing is the mission. So he is trying to place that first, but also we also see, his compassion as well. Multiple times we see him rescue some of the other cadets and look out for them. And, it's obviously that's also in the back of his mind too. So it just brings further his character. Like you said, Dan, he's obviously rising to become one of the great Star Wars great characters that we are putting up there with all the best ones in our minds. There's growing his character as far as a good rounded character that has heart. So definitely a good motive there.
He's someone that, he's already shown a willingness to sacrifice at the end of the episode when he allows himself to fall much deeper so that he can make sure that the people he wants to follow through with the plan and win the final contest do. And I'm sure that didn't tickle that drop. That was a pretty nasty drop. He does have Jedi enhanced muscles, so to speak, but he's showing again compassion, and he shows a lot of integrity, and he shows that determination. He's got a lot of qualities that, again, when kids are watching a show like this, those are the kind of people that kids are going to gravitate towards. So it's really neat to see how they're fleshing Ezra out. And the way that they do this is by the training to become a stormtrooper. Let's talk about the training to become a stormtrooper. I mean, essentially, it's a video game, right? You can just see that happening, and I'm sure that's not an accident. And it's fun. It looks interesting. It basically is a game that requires balance and skill, and you have to be courageous. So clearly, these are things that are important to the Empire as far as developing their stormtroopers. And I'm sure insert the rec was a joke here about the stormtroopers running into the door and all this kind of stuff. But at least on Lothal, it seems that coordination is paramount. What did you notice about the training?
They have to have pinpoint accuracy with the guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those little targets to get those platforms to move aren't that big.
No.
So it goes back to why are stormtroopers as adults such bad shots? If they're being trained like this is from a young age, what happened?
Right.
Is it the helmet?
I think it's the helmet.
They are different helmets. Can we talk about those helmets?
Yeah, they were awesome
on Sparks Rebellion. I don't think they're. I think they're so creepy. Really? I do like that the visor goes up and down. I know they're based on a McQuarrie concept art, and certainly let's raise our coffee mugs to McQuarrie because he is absolutely a genius. But I don't know. I've always found those things to be a little disturbing. It's not important in any way, shape, or form. But Joe, you like them?
Not these ones. I think the regular Stormtrooper helmets.
Those are the best.
Not these ones. These ones, there is a creep factor to them that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to roll over and see one. Like, ooh.
Oh no! I probably wouldn't
on
want
your
to
nightstand.
See a Stormtrooper helmet at night, but definitely these ones. No, same with the Walker helmet. Pilot helmets.
The ones on the ATDP, those. Right, isn't that what they're called? The little walkers, ATDP?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure.
So, it's kind of the similar style, similar makeup, just a little bit more different paint job, I guess.
Yeah. Corey, what about you? Do you like the design? You're the designer.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the design. I think, like you said, the little visor goes up like that, and they get to kind of reveal themselves and goes back down. It's kind of cool. That's something I think the Stormtroopers should have.
I do like that.
It does have a skull look to it, more of a skullish look. The way the cheeks kind of suck in a little bit, almost more of a Mandalorian kind of look, helmet look, if you will. So it's definitely a different look, based off some of the old designs. I think it's cool. I like it a lot. It's just interesting and dynamic. I know I've seen some of the 501st have also put some together out there that they're obviously masters of their craft to be able to do that. Yeah. So that's pretty cool to give them another new assignment to tackle. So it's very cool.
And I did check it out real quick. It is the ATDP. My insight serves me well. Good deal. And it was really cool at the end when they climb inside the ATDP2 to see the inner workings. Very similar to the ATST, I would say.
No, actually not.
Hey, well, it just felt like it. Tell me what you told me. Knows it was different.
The ATSTs, the pilots are side by side.
Mm-hmm.
The ATDP. I've got R2 in my head. ATDP, they're front and back. They're behind each other.
Oh, are they really?
Right. Yeah, he's right.
Do you have a copy of the visual guide in front of you?
Nope.
Do I? I do. Let me pull this open real fast while you move on. Is that cool?
It's great. Yeah, I see. Maybe it's just the perspective in which when they show the three cadets inside the ATDP. That's why I thought it looked very similar. Because just like when When you know what I mean, when Chewie lowers himself and they're behind them and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I do. I can see where you're getting that. Plus, but the cadets are a little bit smaller, so they were able to stand beside on the other side of the pilot.
True. You can certainly see how it evolves.
Yeah.
To the next round, and the next round for Ezra appears to be a lot of runs with the Inquisitor. Not really much of a surprise at all, based on Rise of the Old Masters and just sort of the overall game plan that we think is happening here. But let's talk about the Inquisitor's plan for recruitment. Joe, what did you notice about how Grant and Noresco talk about, let's get the Inquisitor involved here? And he shows up. He's menacing. He's calculating. He's creepy. He's pretty cool, obviously. So, what do you think about his plan for recruitment?
Scared. I mean, from the way that it sounded like he may have, I don't know, ulterior
motives.
Plan.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think he certainly does.
It's probably why Zer's worried about his sister. If she was that good in their training, she probably went with him. So,
right.
I'd be concerned. I mean, at first I thought it might have been some kind of a trap, like he may have known Ezra was there or might have been there.
Yeah, you wonder that. Go ahead.
I said after a while, it's just more like he just picks the cream and the crop for his own designs, and then the rest go on to
Stormtrooper
basic
involvement.
Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and just with Luminara, too, from the last episode, you kind of get the impression that the Inquisitor has got a lot of hooks in the water, so to speak. And this particular area of recruitment, Run Lothal, is another one. Whenever somebody's really, really good at it and shows the kind of skill, it's almost like they're not really recruiting Stormtroopers as much as they're recruiting people who are children of the Force, which we'll certainly talk about in a little bit, too.
Yeah, I think the Inquisitor's plan for recruitment was interesting, and the fact that the two officers there, Grint and Arsco, they say, impressive, too impressive. So obviously, they glean back to Vader's remarks.
Yeah.
So that, it lends itself to, like you talked about, the Force powers and the Force movements. So, yeah, I think it's cool.
Well, there's been a lot of comments about all of the winks to the original trilogy and the dialogue, some of the situations, literally some of the shots line up just like they do in the original trilogy. I still don't feel like it's obnoxious. I mean,
I like it.
Yeah, it's fun.
I like it too. You've got to bridge a connection. For a lot of people, a lot of kids, this is going to be their first Star, so when they see the movies, it's going to connect for them pretty well.
Dan, I've got the ATDP here. What was your question on that?
What's the cockpit look like?
It doesn't have a cockpit visual. It has the viewport slit opening, and there's a side slit opening that rotates. Looks like. Interesting to me, the walking legs are jointed 3 times, so it goes back, forward, and then back again. So I can't remember if that's possibly a difference.
Let's ask Adam. We'll send Adam a message and find out.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, there's a blaster in the front. There's no blaster behind that it has on the visual guide here, but we'll definitely check it out and give Adam a call and see what's
pretty cool. We get to see way more action as far as Sabine. She's still not been the focal point. Hopefully she will be very soon. But we get to see her in action. She is very, very cool under pressure. What did you guys notice about her?
Yeah,
I like her.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, she is a lot of fun. She definitely has got the communications down. Her little helmet she uses is pretty cool. I'm glad she uses that a lot. I was curious how often she would use that in some of the missions and things in the series. I also think that she's very up to date on obviously explosives and sneaking around and doing kinds of things like that. And like we talked about, used to talk about there's some action towards the end, and one of the moves she does, she comes in and karate kicks one of the stormtroopers in the chest, which was pretty heroic. And then she blows on a guy at point blank range. So she's definitely dueling out some heavy hits.
She's not subtle.
No, not at all.
No.
I mean, they're going to kill her if she's not. But yeah, I noticed that it's pretty much a point blank shot.
Yep. I like her. She's probably one of my top 3 characters of the crew from the series. So, can't wait for her centric episode.
Who are your top 2? Are they Hera and Kanan?
Chopper.
Well, he likes R2D2 too.
Zeb.
That's true.
And Zeb.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Interesting. Well, okay. Well, I didn't have that on the agenda, but that's okay. I think that would be interesting. I was wondering, Joe, how you felt about Chopper since he and R2 sort of butted heads a little bit, even though that was strategic.
Yeah, I liked it. I like Chopper. I kind of like his attitude. Just he's got a personality, but it's different than R2's. So they do kind of clash.
His paint disguise for this episode, I thought was tremendous. It looked like he was a Death Star astromech. I thought that was really cool.
Liked it.
Let's talk about Hera and Kanan here. They have a very minor side adventure, but it's very action packed. I could easily see them doing another episode of Breaking Ranks, but it's sort of like from Kanan and Hera's perspective. We see a little bit more about how they get to where they're going to go. What did you all notice about that particular adventure between those two and their chemistry? Because as we know, Freddie Prinze Jr. told us himself that it's not will they, won't they, but they already have.
Right. His comment on the other episode really changed the way I thought of those two.
Oh, interesting. Tell us why.
And I just finished listening to A New Dawn with the prequel.
Yes,
John Jack Miller.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought that something was going on between them, but with his, I think you had said, Dan, in one of the previous episodes that you were hoping they weren't going to do like the Twilight thing.
Yes,
you weren't sure if they actually had a relationship or if it was just more of a deep friendship.
Right.
But yeah, Freddie definitely switched that up on us, saying that they actually have.
I think we have legitimate, concrete evidence that they have in this episode, and I'll explain why in a minute. But Corey, what about you?
The side mission was, I think, was a lot of fun. Awfully highlights Hera's ability to maneuver the skies, the space, and
that was cool.
And it also brings out, Kanan's force ability to be able to pick out the right ship for looking for the crystals. So he's more powerful, I think, than he even believes. I think at times. Then also, like I said, they split up and do a mission there, and he's a pilot himself, so he got some skill there. And then I thought it was interesting the fact that the ship exploded the way it did. Mm-hmm. I didn't really necessarily know that if that was their plan was to get the crystals or just destroy it outright, which obviously they did.
Yes.
Then it exploded.
To destroy them.
Yeah. I think that when they exploded like that, it was interesting to see the wave go out and just disintegrate the TIE fighters, and they escaped pretty easily, and then jumped to light speed. So it was interesting that I didn't know, what are these crystals for? Is this going to be an ongoing thing that they're looking for?
Crystals are what's used in the Jedi's lightsaber. Those are the focusing crystals in the lightsaber.
Yeah,
right.
They even mention it by name too, because he says we can't let that go into the enemy's hands, which I thought was pretty cool too.
Well, even like back to what we were talking about, the recruitment. Is that something to do with that, or is just are the Empire deciding to just collect those some way? Is that some kind of connection to the Force that possible Jedis or strong in the Force might be alluded to or drawn to? So, yeah, I don't know what the end game is for that.
Okay, the only other thing I want to say about Kanan and Hera's interaction, I do love that we get to see more and more of Kanan. He's such a neat character. From the very first time that we ever saw him introduced as the space cowboy, seeing that he cares and he gets frustrated, but not to the point of losing his mind, so to speak. He's still focused. He's compassionate. He looks much more paternal, I think, in this, and the way that Kanan and Hera interact, and when she says, "Oh yeah, I'd like to see you try to be a Stormtrooper cadet like that would ever work. I think their chemistry is palpable and enjoyable, and as we mentioned, I'm glad that Freddie pointed out it's not will they, won't they, but it's already pretty much happened. And I just have to say this, and I'm going to just throw it out there, and we're going to move on. But the way that the fandom docks with the Ghost, I think, has some Freudian carnal implications, but that's just the English teacher and me. We're going to move on.
I don't even know what you just said as far as the words. I need to pull up dictionary.com.
It's all. We'll put a thesaurus. Easy for me to say. Link in the notes. So,
Favorite dinosaur.
We talked about Kanan and Hera's evolution. Anything else you want to say about them before we move along to Zare and his mission?
Yeah, I will say real quick. You talked about Kanan and his growing up and growing as a Jedi, and we talk about his relationship with Prairie Prince Jr. And how that's going to evolve. And I definitely see it in this episode where he's waiting in the Ghost there with Hera, and he's getting anxious, getting nervous. He wants to, pull him out of the cadet academy and stop his mission. I should, like you said, it should have been me. And I think we noticed that he's starting to care for Ezra, and just show that his maternal instincts are, even kicking even more. As far as, you can say it was like a 3-week gap of not being with them. So it's definitely something that's growing with inside him, and it's good to see that.
And it shows so much, too, how much he's grown and changed ever since A New Dawn as well.
Yeah.
Looking more outwardly instead of inwardly.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
So let's look at Zare and his mission. I just love saying that. I can't help it. Finally we get to see some actual hints of real diversity in Star Wars, which we haven't really seen a lot of. Still, there's only one black person so far that we've seen that comes to mind now. But what's his mission like, and what do we know kind of about him? And as I mentioned, there is a book that I'm going to look up that kind of takes place literally right before this episode that is canonical. But what did you guys think about him and his mission?
He's concerned for his sister.
Mm-hmm. And there was the implication, like you said, that he stays behind. He helps Ezra in a really fun scene when Ezra sneaks in to get the data card, and it's rising up, and he's using the Force while Agent Callus is talking to Zare. I love his reaction. Then he shakes his head and looks back again, and plays it very, very smoothly. He's got a lot of poise with a lot of pressure, and he willingly puts himself into harm's way for love of family, which is a wonderful thing. For some of the knocks I've given to Rebels for some of the violence, that kind of motif is something that I think is wonderful.
Yeah.
And definitely, Zare, they talk about the Force a little bit, and he's like, oh, isn't everybody trying to become a Jedi? I thought it was interesting, the fact that he knew who they were.
Like it's a myth.
Yeah, he knew who they were, and he kind of played it off a little bit as far as, isn't anybody doing that, ha 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 type thing, and he didn't really understand what Ezra meant, and, obviously got to see that and experience that. So maybe that puts more of a light inside Zare.
What'd you call me? Sorry, every time I hear that.
Excuse me, yes?
Yeah, I think that's just, it's really, really neat, those kind of things. Anything else you wanted to say about that, Joe?
I just having the concern for family, and how he almost blows Ezra's mission.
It's I found the book too. It's Servants of the Empire, Edge of the Galaxy, and it's something that Jason Fry wrote. He's a great blogger for StarWars.com, and he said, I'd heard him talk about this in his blog for StarWars.com. This is going to be a trilogy. So whether we're going to see more about his mission to find his sister Dara, Dhara, or not in the books or on Rebels, are probably going to intertwine. That's going to be pretty fun to see. And we'll put a link to that book in the show notes for people as well, because it certainly looks very interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, definitely. So after Zare, basically anything else, guys? Overall, your last thoughts or reflections on this episode? Anything that you think needs to be discussed?
Yeah, I will say, the other cadet that got rescued at the end there, it kind of seemed like, I'm out. I don't really have much of a future now that I have to go into hiding. Kind of sucks for me. And obviously that reason was because he was being pulled out by the Inquisitor, and who knows what was going to happen with that. But I mean, as far as safety, but I just kind of felt bad for him at the end. I felt like he kind of got shortchanged a little bit. Did you guys didn't feel that at all?
I didn't, because I felt like this is what he wanted to do. I mean, great love requires great sacrifice. It's a very strong Christian conceit, and I thought that he showed that a lot of bravery as well. And it's neat for Ezra to see someone that's his age that has that kind of quality about himself. A lot of strong young characters on this that children can glom onto.
Corey, are you talking about Zara or are you talking about Jai?
I was talking about Jai, the one they take back to with them and the ghost.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Zare.
Yeah, that's when you mentioned that, and I was like, what are you talking about? So I should have meant, it was Jai. My apologies.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, Jai. Let's talk about Jai. We really haven't talked much about him. He's an interesting character as well.
Yeah, he's the first one we meet, other than Ezra. He was kind of talking to Ezra, saying his cover name, and Ezra's not really paying attention. But yeah, I liked him. It was just the competition, his at first reluctance to go along with Zara and Ezra's schemes to win and get out, escape that and stuff. But yeah, I kind of agree with Corey that he kind of maybe got shortchanged a little bit at the end.
But he
off
gets
the cuff.
He gets saved though, and he gets to go be with his mother.
Right, he does get saved and his mom, but then they have to run and basically hide. And he has this little off the cuff comment about hiding from the Emperor, and then Ezra says they'll help him with that. But
you almost wonder if he's going to show up again later and have a change of heart. But maybe that just kind of shows you again the oppression we talked about at the beginning of the show of the Empire and the ways that they're able to mess with you with your land. They can take your property, but they can also mess with your mind. And sometimes if someone is captivating and charismatic enough in all of their machinations, you can start to doubt right, and you can start to doubt truth.
Right.
And so he seems like, I'm not so sure, but when he realizes earlier in the show that he may lose ever getting to see his mother again, then he's like, oh, so he's afraid. And he probably should be. The Empire's pretty scary. So he's pretty cool too. I'm really, again, it reminds me very much of some of the episodes of Clone Wars where they fleshed out some of the clones, and these aren't clones, they're people, but we get to see a lot of different personalities and aspects that manage to make a nod to certain archetypes of character, but they're not strictly adhering to them, so we get to see more unique characters, and I think that's what Rebels is going to bring to us. Again, I got to raise my coffee mug to Greg Weisman because he knows how to craft a story.
Yeah, definitely.
So any other last thoughts or reflections on this, Joe, for you?
I just noticed a bunch more of those nods towards the original trilogy, specifically how the corridors and the headquarters looked really a lot like the Death Star corridors. Mm-hmm. The music and sound effects, again, that's been mentioned, I think, every episode. But something that stuck with me is the throwing in little bits and pieces of John Williams' original score from the trilogy and orchestrating the soundtrack for this.
Oh yeah, Kevin Kiner.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like how Kevin's throwing those in there. They're
very much.
That's great.
They're very much
nods to. Yeah. Plus the sound effects themselves, specifically the TIE fighters guns, the other guns for those ships, sound a lot like the Star Destroyer weapons.
Yes.
So definitely some more nods to the original trilogy to help.
It's impossible. It does. I apologize. It does bridge the gaps, and it's impossible not to smile when you hear those TIE fighters roaring through.
I have one last question.
Yeah, go ahead.
About you guys. Like I said, Joe, some of the animations and the music obviously is just incredible. And definitely we get to see more animation here, some close-ups of the faces and things. Agent Kallus, like I said before, he's a cool character. How many freckles does he have?
Oh, wow.
I knew when you said I've got another question, I knew it was going to be a silly one. I could tell by your voice.
How's that silly? It's canonical. What are you talking about?
That's true, it is.
No, it's definitely it just lends itself to the animation folks they're doing there, the staff at Lucasfilm and Disney that they're just putting out incredible designs. I mean, like I think even just the progression here in this latest episode compared to the premiere movie, that everything seems like they're still kind of fine tuning things and making things crisp up a little bit. Like you said, Joe, the sounds and the music and everything, that TIE Fighter sound on the beginning of this episode, that it's just dead on, and it just puts you right in that universe, and you're ready to jump into another episode.
And I learned through Chris Taylor's book, How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, that the TIE Fighter, you know what animal they got that noise from?
No, go ahead.
I used to.
Elephant.
Oh, really?
But they obviously have tweaked it modulated and tweaked electronically, but so much fun. All right, guys, it's time.
One thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you guys catch the class number?
No, what was it?
No.
LRC-077.
No kidding.
I don't know if LRC means anything, but I pictured the 77 as 1977.
Oh yeah, I mean,
gotcha.
They've tried so diligently and effectively to make it have that feel to it, and that's cool, nice.
So
very nice. So speaking of numbers or letters or anything in the alphabet, it's time, gentlemen, to give your overall grades for this episode. And Joe, let's have you go first.
I think I would give this a B, solid B. There wasn't a lot of action until on the ground. I mean, you have the space battle, but not a lot of action and not a lot involving the other two characters, Zeb and Sabine. So for me, it was a B.
Okay. Not a B plus or just a solid B. All right.
Just a solid B, maybe just under a B plus, but just a solid B.
Perfect. Corey, what about you?
Yeah, mine's a little higher. I'm gonna go with a B plus. This episode was a little different for me. I think the previous episode was a lot stronger as far as maybe the Jedi aspects of it. I like that storyline a little bit more. Obviously, it did progress a little further into some of the ideas of what an Inquisitor has going on his side of things, and it was a nice little shot of how the Empire works and what their position is on Lothal, and obviously interacts Ezra with some other brand new characters we haven't met yet, so that was fun. But yeah, I do need some more of the team aspect. I'd like to see more of the main characters be put to the forefront, put in the spotlight. We're spotlighting these side characters. And I wish we'd kind of get more onto the main characters, but I'm sure it'll come in time. So yeah, definitely a B plus for me.
B plus. Well, I'm gonna shock the world again. I'm gonna say A plus.
It's because your name is there, right?
That's what right. Did it. That's the only reason.
Pushed it right over the edge.
Exactly. Now this is my highest ranked grade of the entire series so far, and the reason is I think there's the most humanity in this one. You see real cost, you see the effective nature of humanity and the way that there are different personalities, and you see different things people are fighting for. Some people are fighting for a voice, some people are fighting for family, some people are fighting for freedom. There are a lot of things that they're fighting for. The way the Empire is able to not so subtly disguise their purpose. The Inquisitor, not only is he dangerous with a lightsaber and has a look at the macabre to him, but he also has a plan, and he's very comfortable in being patient with it. And while we know he's not Sith, we do know that he's skilled enough as a strategist to try to make things happen. I just really enjoyed it, and the more we see from Ezra, the nuance that makes him who he is. I've said it a million times, but it just Greg Weisman, man, he is. And I'm not just saying that because he's been on our show before. It's really great. He just knows how to craft these stories, and every time I find out that he's running an episode, I can pretty much expect it to be one of the better ones, and so far he has not disappointed. All right, Joe, well, we've got you on Coffee with Kenobi. It's time, my friend, for your 5 questions.
He's been waiting, dreaming.
All right.
Yes.
Laying awake at night, yes. Joe, your favorite Star Wars movie?
Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, wow. Who's your... Oh, geez. Am I really going to ask Joe Taylor this question? Who is your favorite
R2-D2.
Absolutely. I would expect nothing less.
Your favorite line of dialogue or film moment?
Oh, well, it's going to be from Revenge of the Sith. It's probably the scene where it's right after Anakin's been chopped up, and just that lines, "You were my brother, Anakin. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. I loved you." That whole line, just the emotion that Obi-Wan is feeling in that. He had to go after his own brother. Well, not his blood brother. Brother in arms, partner, friend, Padawan. And has to go after him because he's joined the Sith and is threatening to destroy the galaxy. So you see a lot of different emotions that Obi-Wan's going through.
Yeah, it's impossible to watch that and not get choked up or have goosebumps or chills because it's very, very powerful. So, Joe, if you collect, what is your favorite collectible that you own?
I hate this question. You guys have been on for, a year? Just over a year, and I still don't have an answer to this one. I think my favorite collectible is something that is impossible to get. I probably have the only one outside of maybe a small few, and that's actually a life-size Yoda that is actually a topper from a Star Wars slot machine game that a friend of mine who used to work with me got for me for my birthday.
That is awesome. I'd love to see a picture of that. I can't believe maybe you have posted it over the years.
If you go to my Facebook, go to my collection. There's a picture of it in there.
Oh, I definitely will check it out.
What particular messages or themes about the Star Wars saga resonate or speak to you?
The redemption aspect of it, how someone who did as many terrible things as Anakin did when he was Darth Vader, how he could still be redeemed by his son, just the love that his son had for him, knowing that he could be redeemed, and it wasn't a lost cause.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, poignant moment, and it's sometimes forgiving is one of the hardest things we can do, or trying to find the good in someone or something. But Star Wars teaches us one of those important lessons that I think would make this world a much better place if people just would gravitate towards that. And so, Joe, thank you again so much for sharing a cup of coffee with us on Coffee with Kenobi. It's been far too long, and you certainly did not disappoint. It was awesome having you on. And where can listeners get in touch with you if they want to say hello or ask you a question?
Well, the best thing to do would be Facebook. My Facebook ID is...
He's typing, ladies and gentlemen.
Joe2D2. Facebook.com/Joe2D2. Of course.
Of course.
I have a Twitter account. I just don't use it that often. I might start getting back into it since everybody else is on Twitter. That's Joe2D2_Joe. Then you can always look for me on coffeewithkenobi.com. My next blog is actually going to be coming up about 10 days, and actually is going to be my thoughts on Rebels,
which we're looking forward to. Yeah, your last few blogs on John Williams were very well received too.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, they were fantastic. Joe's one of our great bloggers, as we know, and we're honored to have you in the Coffee with Kenobi family. And Joe, thanks again so much for sharing a cup of coffee with us.
My pleasure. It was fun, guys.
Well, kid, you pulled it off.
Was there ever any doubt?
Yes.
Chopper, get us out of here!
If you would like to respond to our question of the show, have a comment, or just want to say hello, send us an email or MP3 at feedback@coffeewithkenobi.com. Or if you have a specific question or comment for either of us individually, email us at danz@coffeewithkenobi.com or coryc@coffeewithkenobi.com, or visit us at coffeewithkenobi.com and click on the Contact Us section, or comment on one of the stories featured on the site. If you enjoy the show, please write a review in iTunes. You can also like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi, as well as keep up to date on our Twitter feed at twitter.com/coffeewithkenobi. You can also find us on Tumblr at coffeewithkenobi.tumblr.com. If you enjoy the jazz music, download the album Eye to Eye by Steve Torok on iTunes.
This is Spectre 1. I need a lift.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here. Move along. Move along.